So we've got some lynx tracks today. Unfortunately, it's very flat, poor lighting, but I just want to show you a way you can figure out roughly the body size. So what we've got here, there's a lynx footprint there, there, and it carries on in a trot type of gait. And it's a trot, I can tell, because it's narrow as far as the trail width goes. It's quite narrow versus wider when it's walking, which would be slower. So it's narrow and quite spaced apart. So if I was to think of this being a rear foot right there, and that same rear foot landing right there, this distance in a trot, if you take it in thirds, the 2/3 is roughly the size of the body. Now, if this was a walk, the body size would be roughly footprint to footprint. But because it's a faster moving trot, we can make a fairly good guess that that distance cut into thirds, so this would be a third and this would be about a third. So right about there, roughly, would be the length of the body from shoulder to shoulder. So I'm going to just trace out its head. Its head would be a little bigger than my fist, right about here. And its back, because lynx are so tall, its back is probably right up here. And then its little bum here with its little bobtail. So you're looking at an animal about this size based on the trot. And as we go down the trail, maybe we can find a walking gait, and then we can also prove that. So if I look at it this way, it's fingertip to just past my elbow. That's my best guess with a trotting gait as to the length of the body. We'll see if we can find another one and confirm the size of this animal with a walk. All right, so now we're looking at the animal size based on this deer trail that we see right here. They're coming from that direction, heading through this way. This is a trot, we believe, because of there's quite a bit of impact in the road, and it's throwing out a bit of a spray. And as we follow the trail back, we have evidence of it speeding up just back here. There's even a bit of a slip. So at this point in the trail that we're focusing on, the deer is trotting. If it was walking, this print, the next print would likely be about here and here. They'd be closer together. So let's look at that bit about figuring out how big the animal is. Because it's a trot, we're going to take this. This is actually a double footprint. There's front, rear, and front, rear, with the rear right on top of the front. We'll draw a line right at the front of that. And the next time that print hits, or that foot hits, is way up here. So again, looking at this distance, dividing it roughly in thirds. So there's a third, and there's a third. We look at this 2/3 size, and we can get an idea roughly of shoulder to shoulder of this deer. So think of my hip here and my front shoulder here, based on those two little marks. So tracing this deer, its head would be up somewhere about here where my glove is, and its back up about here, and its bum starting to swing over here, and its tail. So this kind of a size. That's roughly the body length. Again, because it's a trot, we have to section it up from one footprint where that same footprint hits the ground. We take two measurements, so here to here. We divide it into thirds, and then base the body length on 2/3 of that distance. Again, we'll look for a walking gait here to see if we can show you what a walking gait looks like. Now we have that same deer further back on its trail, heading this direction, and it's now walking. So there's a front with a rear on top of it there, front with a rear on top of it, front with a rear on top of it, but it's much shorter. The trotting one that we did in the video segment just before this second print here, like this side is left side of the body, up here is left side of the body, it was way out here. So we're now speculating that this is a walking trail. So the rear left foot hits right here. We draw a little line. The rear left foot comes up and hits there again. And now we get, again, that shoulder to shoulder measurement, hip to hip. And we get a rough idea of the size of this deer. Head up here, back, and bum. Rough. If I was to have my druthers, I would say that it's a bit stretched, but yeah, because what we've discovered is all the way along here, it's going slow, fast, slow. It's changing its speed. I'm speculating again, but what I'm thinking is, you know, when you watch deer in a group, a doe with 1 or 2 or 3 fawns, the doe is usually cautious, looking about, taking its time, it's experienced, and it's just kind of moving about, paying attention. But what's happening with the fawns is they're like kids, and they bop and they go for a little burst and they slow down and they go this way and that, and they're kind of always looking to mom. And when mom gets a little further ahead, they race to catch up. And if they get too far ahead, they slow down. And they're hovering around the mother, and the mother just kind of consistently goes along with all her senses tuned on. And that's what I'm thinking this trail is here. This is a smaller deer, and we're seeing that behavior of slow, fast, slow, fast.